So lots of people who are getting into property understand that you could do something called bridging, but they don't understand how bridging actually works. So today I'm going to explain to you how bridging works, how it works for property deals, and we'll run through a little example as well. So bridging finance is effectively a short-term mortgage on a property. So like you would take a standard mortgage, which is a death pledge. Be careful about good and bad debt. Like you take a standard mortgage on a property and you would put a sort of 25 or 30 year term on it where you would pay down with interest and repayment payments over time that balance. A bridging loan is similar in that the bank will give you a lump sum, usually a percentage of the value of the asset, and you will put a deposit down, exactly the same as a standard mortgage. But instead of paying that down over time with interest and capital repayments, you either pay interest only over the term, or, which is more common, you roll the interest payments up until completion, because with bridging you need a secured exit. You want an exit from the bridge. So all your brokers, so when you speak to your brokers, they'll tell you about what's your exit, and that's going to be your refinancing or your selling, and your broker will help you rearrange your refinance if you're going to keep the property, whereas if you're going to sell it, then your exit will be sale on the open market. So that's the exit to your bridging deal. So a bridging deal works in this way. You go out and find a property, you speak to your broker about it, your broker will then find appropriate bridging finance for that deal and then bridge you the deal while you purchase it. You can undertake some works, you can add value, you can do any of the things that you need to do, and usually bridging lenders will want to see what value you're adding, why this property is going to be worth more at some point in the future. You buy the property, add value to it, and then exit it at some point in the future through a refinance or through a sale. So that's the kind of the long and the short of bridging. But let's get into a bit of an example, and I'll use an example from one of my early deals, which is a standard flip deal. We bridged the deal, so it was around about 100, I think it was £105,000 purchase. We ended up putting 30% of that value down, so we put down just over 30 grand as a deposit against that bridge. The bridging company then gave us 70 grand, but they also agreed to give us a percentage of works. So they were going to fund some of the works because it was a good deal, and we could see that on the back end properties were in excess of £200,000. So we had £100,000 to play with. The renovation works was looking to be more like £35,000-40,000. So there's £60,000 worth of profit as we saw it and as the bridging company saw it. So we went ahead with that. We took on the bridging loan. We put our £35,000 deposit down plus some fees. Usually your interest. So sometimes your interest deducted up front. Sometimes it's rolled and paid on completion. But either way, your bridging lender will have interest on the money that they lend. Usually around 1% a month on your loan. So if you've got £100,000 loan, 1% of that is £1,000 a month. So you'll accumulate that over the term, and you only pay the interest over the time in which you hold the property. So if you only hold it for 6 months, you only pay 6 months interest, although there's sometimes a minimum amount of interest, so you can't have it for a month necessarily. Sometimes you can, but it depends on the lender. So yeah, our deal, we undertook the works over a period of about 4 months. I think it's 3 or 4 months to complete the works. Once we completed the works, we put the property on the market, and a local buyer came and approached us and said, well, look, we're really interested. We actually listed it for £220,000. We had a bunch of people interested, but a local buyer that we knew of came and offered us £227,000 for the house, which was great because we'd spent just over £40,000 renovating it, a little bit more than we expected. So we'd spent 30 grand with our deposit, but 105 grand as part of the whole purchase price. We then spent 44 grand in renovating the house, so we were up to total spend of just shy of £150,000, and then we had an agreed sale at £227,000, which is great. So we had some legal fees to pay the solicitor. We had some agent's fees to pay the estate agent who sold the property for us. And obviously we had the bridging finance to pay down with interest. So we'd held the property for just shy of a year. I think it was like 10 and a half, 11 months. So just for kind of round numbers, we say we had a £70,000 loan. We paid 1% a month on that £70,000. So we ended up paying about just under 8.5 grand with some fees in interest, which meant that the 150 that was our total spend plus 8.5 grand's worth of interest and some fees plus agents fees and legal fees meant for around about 160, we were completely done on that property. We'd spend everything we need to spend, and we had a sale at £227,000. So in all, we made just over 50 grand on that property. Great deal, good deal, worked really well, and we only actually had to use 30 grand plus some cash to cash flow the works. So yeah, that's a very basic kind of oversight view of bridging deals. If you need any more information on bridging, then just drop me a message. More than happy to answer any questions you have.